going to be using 2 sheets of paper, one for the base and one for the top. We fold the base first, so I'm going to use the blue for the base, so I should just put the yellow on one side for a moment. And if you're using paper that's coloured on one side only and white on the other, you will need to start with the coloured side facing up. So the first fold is across the middle, and we line up the 2 sides. Do take your time, just line them up. When you're happy with it, press it down. I'm going to use the stick just to crease that fold nice and sharply. Open up the paper, and we need to fold the paper in the opposite direction, so the other 2 sides will come together. And again, take your time, line them up, and then press it down. When you open up the paper, you should have a crisscross. Turn your paper over and just flatten it a little bit just to make it easier. We're now going to fold each of the corners onto the crisscross in the middle. Place the point right on the crisscross, hold it there with your finger and press down. I'll just make that crease nice and sharp. And then we do the same to the second. Then the third. And then the last. I'll just make sure everything is nice and sharp. So there we have all 4 corners in the middle. We now take one side and fold this side right onto the points in the middle. Try and get the edge right on where all the points meet, but before you press it down, just make sure you're nice and straight along the outside edge. So I'll just move that a little bit so that's nice and straight. I'm on the points, so that's fine. I can press that down. Just use the stick again, reinforce all those creases like that. Now we turn the paper round and fold the other side into the middle. Again, you need to go right on those points, and you just want the 2 sides to meet in the middle. Don't let them overlap. Like this. Open out those 2 sides, and these 2 points that are sticking up, just push them back in, just push them back to the middle, so we're back to where we were. Now it's the turn of the other 2 sides. So these will fold up, so the edge will sit right on the points in the middle, and again just make sure you're nice and straight at the edge. If it's out a little bit, just maneuver it round so it's nice and straight, and just check you're on the points. Press it down. Turn your paper round and do the same on this side. Again, you just want them to meet in the middle. And press everything flat. This time, when you open out the two sides, you get hold of the triangles that are sticking up and pull them out. The opposite sides will fold back in. So this bottom edge will fold up. It will sit in the middle because we're using the same crease as before. The top edge will come down and they'll meet in the middle. It's very important to crease all the way off the ends. That turns all the folds around for us, ready for the next step. Pick up your paper and just cradle it in both hands. Put your thumbs on the triangles at the end, just to hold those down, and then when you bring your hands up and together, it just wants to be a box. The sides will lift along the diagonal creases that we've got there. It will lift up and the small triangles will need to push those down onto the bottom of the box, and these large flaps will fold right down inside. What we want is all four triangles to meet in the bottom, and that will hold the box together. Just to make sure everything's nice and straight, I'm going to run the stick along the crease which forms the lip of the box. All the way around. That will straighten everything up. And there is the base of the box. So the folding is almost the same for the lid, but there is a slight difference, and this slight difference makes the box lid bigger than the base. Again, if you're using paper that's coloured on one side only and white on the other, you will need to start with the white side face down and the coloured side facing up. Just as before, fold your paper in half, side to side. Take your time and line up the two edges. Press it down. And just make sure I've got a good sharp crease there. Open up your paper and fold it in half in the opposite direction, so the other two sides will come together. I'm just taking my time, lining them up, pressing down. Open up your paper. We should have a crisscross. Turn it over and just flatten it down. Just as before, we're going to fold all four corners onto the crisscross in the middle. So make sure you get that point right on the crisscross. Hold it there and press that crease in. We do that all the way around, so same to the second one. And the third. And the last. So we have all four corners in the centre. Now this is where it's different. This is how we make the lid bigger than the base of the box. Before, we folded these edges onto the points in the middle, but this time when you fold the sides into the middle, you don't go right to the middle. You need to leave a little bit of a gap and then press it down. The paper I'm using is 20 centimeters square, so the gap I'm going to leave will be a total of about 5 or maybe 6 millimeters. So again, I've not gone right to the middle. I've left a gap. If you're using a smaller piece, then your gap needs to be just a little bit smaller. Open up these two sides, and just as before, the two triangles that are sticking out, just push them back to the middle. Now it's the turn of the other two sides, so these will fold in, but again we need to leave a little bit of a gap. Turn your paper around, same to the second side, and remember your gap. Everything's nice and creased well. This time, when you open out the two sides, you get hold of these two triangles that are sticking up and pull them out. The opposite sides, just like we did with the base of the box, will fold in, but this time when the bottom folds up and the top folds down, we have a gap in the middle. Again, turn all the creases around by pressing down really well, and we're ready to turn this into the lid of the box. Pick your paper up in both hands and put your thumbs on the triangles either side. When you bring your hands up and together, it just forms the box. As before, push the two small triangles into the bottom and fold the large flaps right inside so that all four triangles will meet in the bottom. I'm going to use the stick just to crease around the lip of the box. Again, that straightens everything up. And there is the lid. Now, does the lid fit the bottom? Perfect. And there's your box.